dear Ambazonians, fellow comrades, I bring you profound revolutionary greetings from our state house at the foot of Mount Fako. I've come to you today, however, with mixed feelings. The advances we have made in the recent times in the struggle would warrant that I come to you today smiling and in celebration mode. But the recent spate of mass murders, especially the massacres in Menka Pinyin, the illegal sentencing of our comrade Mancho Bibixi to 15 years, and the passing away of 2 days ago of our comrade Akuma Fro, will want, uh, will want to get me feeling like weeping. I'm indeed torn in between moments of great gains and these other moments of tragedies. But one thing that I know, in the words of the great British statesman Sir Winston Churchill, is that victory is at all cost. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory, however long and hard the road may be, for without victory, there is no survival. Last week, our revolution witnessed two unprecedented historic events, events in such magnitude that we have not seen since the launch of the revolution in October 2016. First, there was the 20th May boycott victory that sent us all smiling and the enemy, La République du Cameroun, cringing its teeth. For the first time in our country's history, we all stood up like one man, from Dongamantu to Fako, from Dian to Menchum, from Momo to Meme, Lebialem to Boyo, and from Manyu to Bui counties, and told the colonial annexationist regime in Yaoundé that we have had enough, joining them every year to celebrate the day they made us their slaves. From the success we accomplished this year, it is now evident that next year, French Cameroon will have no choice than to revert to celebrating January 1st, its real Independence Day. And for us, we shall never ever think about 20th May anymore. It is dead and buried. I want to, on behalf of the entire cabinet of your interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, thank all of you on Ground Zero for making the achievement possible. Let me refute something here today. Some people will want everyone to believe that what makes the colonial regime tremble about this struggle is the diaspora. I disagree. I do not think that it is the entire truth. You on Ground Zero are our true heroes. You are the reason why the Paul Biya's regime frets or trembles. You are the ones at the forefront of this war. You are the ones who are on the battle lines of Paul Biya's war. You are the ones defending our country. You are the resistance. You are the ones paying the price of the ghost towns. You are the ones showing resilience in spite of all the carnage. You are the ones whose houses have been burnt down. You are the ones whose children are not going to school. Yes, you are the ones whose hospitals and health centers have been shut down. Yet, you have refused to give up. You have refused to surrender. Yes, Paul Biya trembles because of you. He had thought that once his terrorist troops unleashed their carnage upon you, that you will surrender and give up so that we just get back performing our slave duties. But thank God for the special grace He has given you. You all are still standing strong. To me, that is more than what the diaspora is sacrificing. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you for believing in this revolution. And thank you for following my leadership. And I would like to give special compliment to our self-defense brothers and sisters whose lives, rendered almost useless by the colonial regime, have decided to take back their destiny and their country by putting their lives, their own lives and plans on hold for this war. Some of you are graduates from universities whom years of a policy of marginalization and discrimination against as a people have since rendered hopeless. Some of you are graduates of vocational schools, but who could not find a living in your own country because under this French Cameroon colonial rule, the youth are not the leaders of tomorrow. Some of you are perhaps family men and women who are sacrificing your family, putting Ambazonia first. Some of you were motorbike transporters yesterday. You lost your only means of survival. Put your destinies on the line to fight to liberate Ambazonia. I cannot thank you all enough. Ambazonians can never thank you quite enough. Your brilliance, courage, and sacrifice shall never be forgotten. Very special gratitude to the women who have lost their husbands to this independence war. Very special sympathies to the husbands who have lost their wives and the parents whose children have been cut down just for being Ambazonians or while defending our dear motherland, Ambazonia. Some of you listening to the sound of my voice are now squatting in borrowed homes because your own homes have either been burnt down or targeted by occupational soldiers from French Cameroon, invaded and destroyed, and you driven away with children and little babies. I want to thank you too for your understanding. I feel your pain. It is my fervent prayer that this period be a short one. We shall never, ever again be coerced or bribed to celebrate 20th May in our land. This 20th May marked the beginning of our march down the Victory Day. One of these days, Buea will welcome us, and I can assure you, when that day comes, our tears of sorrow shall part ways to tears of overwhelming joy. Nothing good in life ever comes easily. I have no doubt in my mind that Buea will come. We are reminded of the words of Paul Bryant, a great American coach that says, if you believe in yourself and have dedication and pride and never quit, you will be a winner. The price of victory is high, but so are the rewards. Let us remember the price we all have to pay. For some, the price is in their already burnt down homes, cars, and motorcycles. For some, the price is living in the bushes and in refugee camps. And yet for some, the price is death. Death, like in the massacre that terrorists from La Republique du Cameroun masterminded in Menka Peyin the other day. Such criminal massacres remind us every day of the reason why we cannot turn back to go live with French Cameroon again. Those lifeless bodies seen littered on the streets of Pinyin remind us of the reasons why we cannot go dialoguing with French Cameroon. They remind us of the reason we must fight till we take back our country. There is no compromise to an independent Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. There is no alternative to total independence. Mark my words. As long as God gives me breath and keeps me as your leader of this revolution, you can read my lips. We are going to Buea. Buea, we must arrive. Alleged negotiations. Fellow Ambazonians, as we prosecute this war, it is necessary that once in a while we remind ourselves why we are fighting, so that we can remain steadfast and not grow weary. This is necessary because some people have asked me, how many people will have to die and how many villages burnt down before we give up? My answer is, if one soul is worth the whole world, how many are we supposed to bury before we know we have paid the full price for our freedom? We didn't declare this war against ourselves, and so we cannot stop the war. We are victims, however, fighting for a good cause. All over the world, when the people are oppressed and repressed through their lifetime, you can only imagine that the moment will come when they can't take it anymore. Paul Biya thought that he was about crushing us when he declared war on us in November. He didn't realize that God was just about passing through his evil scheme to bring deliverance to Ambazonia. No doubt. The good book says, all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. We are fighting for our deliverance, our freedom, and our liberties. We are fighting for our country, a country in which we will not be mistreated and discriminated against because of the language we speak. A country in which every citizen will be respected. A country in which our children and generations to come will have the kind of education that will take them to places. A country where our God-given resources will be harvested and proceeds used for the actual advancement of our collective good, that our people can actually see and feel. Development projects like double carriage highways, modern hospitals, modern housing, electricity, schools, among others, will be a foregone reality. For these reasons, we have refused to sit at the table to discuss any form of federation. Federation is a non-starter for solution. Diplomats and civil society leaders can keep the running around discussing and trying to persuade Paul Biya to accept federation as much as they want. That one isn't in the agenda of this interim government. President Sisiko Julius and others were not abducted for preaching federation. Our youth who are defending us in the bushes are not fighting for federation. Those who have died didn't die demanding for federation. They died fighting for a completely free Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. That is what this interim government stands for: a completely free, independent, sovereign state called the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, nothing less. As we prosecute this war, make no mistake, that will be the outcome. We are well cognizant of the fact that every war ends with a treaty. While we are looking forward to one, we will not accept any backroom deals reached with our leaders who are held behind bars, if at all. The People's Interim Government and every Ambazonian have agreed on the fact that any form of settlement reached with our leaders from behind bars will be dead on arrival, will be of no consequence, and will be fiercely rejected. La République du Cameroun cannot hold our leaders incommunicado and force a settlement on them. If need be, all Ambazonians, like one man, we will reject it with all our life. We have laid down the following conditions without which the People's Interim Government won't be party to any form of negotiation. Number one, mediation must address the root causes of the problem as currently articulated by the United Nations representatives, the African Union, and the Commonwealth. Number two, the former British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia delegation, our delegation, led by the People's Interim Government, shall be inclusive of our select civil society leaders, religious personalities, and traditional leaders. Under no circumstances shall La République du Cameroun be allowed to appoint her surrogates or conspirators to represent the former British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia on a negotiation table. Number three, all persons kidnapped, arrested, abducted, sentenced, or detained in prisons and other detention centers as a result of this conflict must be released unconditionally. La République du Cameroun must demilitarize the whole territory of the former British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia to create a feasible climate for meaningful mediation. The mediation will be held in a mutually agreed venue out of La République du Cameroun because A, La République du Cameroun has banned all our groups that were on the negotiation table with her. She abducted and jailed dialogue partners straight away from the dialogue table. And she even illegally crossed her territorial borders, abducted and jailed British Southern Cameroon's asylum seekers in Nigeria. Any mediation between the two sides of this conflict has to take place in the presence of a representative of the United Nations, the African Union, and the Commonwealth as observers. Any mediation may be facilitated by a mutually agreed mediator or an independent mediator appointed by the United Nations, the African Union, or the Commonwealth. The government of the UK should be party to such talks, given the role she played as the administering authority in the decolonization process of British Southern Cameroons. With this in mind, in the days ahead, I shall be announcing the convening of a consultative platform for all Ambazonia. The platform shall bring together all the major stakeholders in our revolution to formally chart the way forward through this final stage of our struggle and eventual mediation if and when one is announced. Details of participation shall come in my announcement. More on reforms. I have heard your call for unity and collaboration. The People's Interim Government will lead in concrete efforts on needed reforms geared towards increased collaboration between nationalist groups, coordination of our winning efforts, and the enhancement of our efficiency as a movement. On the IG financial management side, we have made tremendous progress institutionally in terms of transparency, accountability, data security, and speed of delivery. Also, I will be announcing my new government next week. I would prefer to retain and usher in only patriotic volunteers with undivided dedication towards the mission of our interim government and without conflict of interest. Finally, expect a complete restructuring of the People's Interim Government at country and regional levels, including ground zero to a certain extent. On self-deportation. Dear comrades, fellow Ambazonians, the days ahead are certainly not going to be easy. They may prove to be some of the toughest we are yet to see. French Cameroon colonial forces will be employing all vicious tactics they know to try to break our ranks and our will. We are not going to allow that to happen. Every Ambazonian is called upon to be his or her brother's keeper. Let us all be vigilant. Be vigilant of our neighborhood, our surroundings, and report any suspicious activities or persons you cannot recognize. Your security and safety should be guarded jealously. If you have to move for security reasons, do not hesitate. Please do so. Use your good judgment to react to situations. It is in this light that the People's Interim Government has also asked that all French Cameroonians living and working in our territory relocate now. Take note, this order is only for French Cameroonians who reside in our territory for work and business. If you are a French Cameroonian and married to an Ambazonian, this doesn't apply to you. If your parents are French Cameroonians who have lived all their lives in Ambazonia and you were born in Ambazonia, this doesn't also apply to you. But if you are a French Cameroonian student, a French Cameroonian business person or civil servant, this order applies to you. Start moving back to your country if you have not already done so. We can no longer guarantee your safety and security, and I hope that this action isn't misconstrued by our friends and allies. Ambazonians do not hate ordinary French Cameroonians. Most of them are victims, just as we Ambazonians are. We have lived together in same neighborhoods side by side for many years. But our people are hurting from the wounds inflicted upon them by the barbarism that has been unleashed on them by the genocidal regime of French Cameroon, your home government. And just as we are now unable to guarantee our security and peace or peaceful coexistence and control the reactions of our own angry people, we cannot also guarantee the security of French Cameroonian families. Going forward, we will no longer repeat this reminder. Do your family a favor and leave our territory for your own safety and security. After our victory, you will be welcome to live among us again, but not until then. Our gratitude to America and her allies. Fellow Ambazonians, Mark Twain once stated that patriotism is supporting your country all the time and your government when it deserves it. It is in this spirit that the People's Interim Government has passed an injunction banning the payment of all forms of taxes to the colonial government by Ambazonians. All companies operating in our territory will cease to do business here unless they begin paying their taxes to the People's Interim Government. In other measures, the People's Interim Government today officially bans the Cameroon National Football League competition in Ambazonia. And there shall be no hosting of the African Cup of Nations in Ambazonia. And of course, no French Cameroon organized elections in our territory. Borrowing from the words of John F. Kennedy, I quote, "Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of our liberty." That is exactly what we are determined to do to accomplish our liberty. We are watching keenly the powers that support us, those that reject us, and those who remain neutral. But one thing is sure, at the end of the day, we will surely tell who our friends were and who the foes were. I want to give a heartfelt thank you on behalf of the Ambazonian people to the United States Ambassador to French Cameroon for his ability to speak truth to Yaoundé, and most especially to President Donald Trump, the last standing defender of the liberties and freedoms of oppressed minorities in the world. We thank the British Parliament for finally coming to grips with our sufferings and taking it up against Paul Buea, and also the Australian government for doing the same. You are the kind of friends we need at this time. May your support be accelerated as the collective punishment and massacre of our people by French Cameroon colonialists increase on a daily basis. My trip to Buea extension. Fellow Ambazonians, about 2 months ago, I came to you with a promise that should you give me $2 million, I would deliver Buea into your hands in a record time. In that announcement, I launched the My Trip to Buea campaign to raise the set amount. I want to report to you today that we have not yet raised up to that figure. However, tremendous progress has been made towards our goal. Let me seize this opportunity to thank all of you in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and the Americas who have already paid your full tickets. I will never forget the phone call from one comrade, a small farmer on ground zero, who called in wondering whether we will accept his 10,000 francs. I cannot forget the efforts of little groups in different parts of Africa who have put their hands together to chip in their widow's mite. I thank you so much, and I want you to know that all the widow's mite surely add up. Thank you to Asia. Thank you to Europe. Thank you to you in America. Ground Zero stands because you who have paid for your trip you have made it possible. If we renege, if we waver, Ground Zero will quake. If we falter, Ground Zero will falter. Let's not be tired of giving. I still stand by the promise to deliver Buea to you sooner than later. With what we have raised so far, the planning stage is now over. We have already moved into the implementation phase of my trip to Buea. I want to assure you, mark my words, and mark this day, La Republique will hear from us really soon. We have not waited to raise all the funds to begin the implementation of our winning strategies. While implementation goes on, we are extending the fundraising by one more month, ending on June 30th, for more people who have not yet bought their tickets to do so. Please, everyone else is counting on you. I want to appeal to all God-loving and prayerful people in our country to pray for the interim government and pray particularly for the leading of the Holy Spirit. I have no doubt in my heart that we are still standing because of prayers and God's intervention. We can raise billions of dollars and have the best military and recruit the best trained personnel for this war. That unless God leads the way and gives us direction, our efforts will be as good as nothing. With God, I can see victory written all over the place. Let us claim it. Let us stand on it. We will soon begin to sing the song of victory. We have overcome. I leave you with this great quote from Joe Montana. Winners, I am convinced, imagine their dreams first. They want it with all their heart and expect it to come true. There is, I believe, no other way to live. God bless you. God bless the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Long live our republic and short live the war. Thank you.